Hello YouTube, this is Jay from Jay's Knit and Purl Jam, and I hope you enjoyed the video of me and my BF, my best friend Judy. And I thought, I might go ahead and just make a tutorial on the purse. It's so much fun. It'll get me into some good knitting, and then you can just see how I take something very basic and put my own little spin on it. I'm a very basic knitter. I enjoy, new ideas, new stitches, but when it comes down to the bottom line, it has to work for me. It has to fit me or look good on me, or it has to, has to be something that I really want to enjoy knitting. Otherwise, what's the purpose? Just more money wasted. So, I'll just, like I said, I'm just going to be sharing. As I knit and start doing projects, it will be strictly for sharing. You knit the way you knit, and I'll just share with you how I see things. And, if you can use anything, go for it. Enjoy it. So, this is the purse, the little I-cord, little wrist purse. Nothing fantastic. Everybody's got a purse, but this is just one. This one has a really pretty little, let me get that little string off. I found this beautiful kind of an oriental design fabric for the lining. I thought it was very pretty. It's fully lined, and it does have a zipper, which was a little challenging because I hadn't done one in a while, and I thought, oh man, but after you, that's one thing I do. I do my best. Once I learn something, I just do it the same way over and over and over. That way I never forget. Even if somebody else does something new, or you see a new way and it might be interesting, I might try it. But I have my basic way, and you probably do too. So, let's just, like I said, this is the sample that you saw before that matched the gray sweater. This is some Impeccable from Michael's store, and it's called Sterling, and it has a little specks. See, has a little glitter in it. I just thought that was really nice. And then I looked around because I thought, well, I've done this little purse before because it's my basic little design, basic little pattern, and I remember I was doing this. I was gonna give it as a gift to someone. And of course I wasn't even on YouTube then and wasn't even thinking about it. And I just used a nice little pattern. And this is some beautiful cotton that came from Hobby Lobby. I believe it's their cotton called Love This Cotton or Love This Yarn or something like that. But it also has, the little glitter in there. And I had to find it. And of course it's lined also. I don't know how long ago I made this, quite a while back. I think I was gonna give it, but then I came up with something else, and so I kept this one as a sample to work from. So, now, for the one that I'm gonna do the tutorial on, since we're still in March, we're kind of at the end of March, we're a little past St. Patrick's Day, but I had this beautiful yarn from Michael's. I just use Impeccable a lot. Not that it's such a great yarn. It's just nice to work with, and you get a lot for your money. And sometimes when I'm trying to come up with something or practice something, I grab it because or you can do Red Heart, But when but if I was going to do something very nice, then of course I'd go to maybe a little nicer yarn. But for practice or for just getting the pattern set up, this is just fine. So this is Impeccable. And here's this pretty color. It's called Grass. Grass by Impeccable from the Michael's big box store. So I thought I think I'll do something like that. Nice and bright and, really pretty. So you're going to need the yarn. And of course, I'm going to knit my purse on size number 6 needles. I will be using a circular, but I'm going to start out the demonstration just on these plain straight needles. And for me, a purse, unless you're actually doing a mesh type bag or like one of the shopping bags or something like that, or a beach bag, you know, I really want a tight fabric. You know, I want the fabric to be nice and tight, and then I can put my design in it and it will show up really well. So I'm just going to start with some number 6 short straight. I'm just using plain bamboo needles. You will need some fabric for the lining. I've picked out 2 because I haven't decided yet. And I just picked it. Oh, I love fat quarters. Do y'all know what fat quarters? They're, you know, they're pre-cut, measured fabric, usually 18 inches by 21, sometimes 22. You can get it at Joann's, and most fabric stores now carry what they call fat quarters. I like to go sometimes to the quilted stores. Oh, they have the best. But just for this project, I just think I picked this up at Joann's. And so I've got to, like I said, I can't decide which one I'm going to use yet. So I'm laying both out here just so that you can see my fat quarters. Also, you're going to need a zipper. And this is just a plain polyester zipper I got at Joann's. I went ahead and got a number 9, although I know it won't take a 9 for the back, but you need longer than your bag. So a 9 or the next size up. But because we do cut off some of the zipper. So just make sure you get a long zipper. I've got a 9, or you can go a little above if you want to. But, you know, of course you get something to match as close as possible to your yarn. And there's my zipper. And then I have these buttons. I don't know how well they're going to go, but I'm going to try to see if I can put them on there since they're 2 separate greens. But they may look great. I may change by the end of the bag and pick out buttons or something else, but I'm starting here at least with something. I also, while I was at Joann, picked up these beads in case I might want to put beads on there. So I hadn't decided yet, but before we've got plenty of time because first we have to knit the bag. So, with that said, that's where we are on this tutorial of this wrist. Just a nice wrist clutch little purse that you can add any decoration in here. This is a basic bag for me, and you'll see how versatile it is because you can just add or change anything. But the basic bag pretty much stays the same. And it could also be a longer bag. It doesn't have to be here. I just stopped it here because I wanted a clutch. But you can go longer. You can add other things. So, with that said, let's see if we can get this bag and let's see if we can knit together. And hope you enjoy it. Okay, we've gone through our supplies. And this is just, you know, an idea. And we'll change or add things as we go, you know, if we need to. So I am going to start with just some straight needles, like I said, but I will change a little later to circular just because I like working on circular needles. And you can just simply kind of listen and go through it and then come back and decide if you might want to try it or write down the information I'm going to give you. But using my number 6 straight needles, I'm going to cast on 41 stitches. I'm simply going to cast on 41 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and move all of this over. And I just simply pull out the yarn I need. And I make a nice slip knot. I just tie a knot over my finger. Nothing special. But you know, I use a double pointed needle up under my needle when I cast on to give me a really nice and smooth edge. It's just something I'm just used to. Nothing. A lot of people do it. Like I said, it's nothing. I just wanted some, maybe if you were new to knitting, maybe you didn't understand what I was doing here. But I simply slide that needle, hold it underneath, and I am going to do the long tail cast on. And there's so many sites, if you know, that you can always go back and check your basic knitting techniques if you need to. If not, you've been knitting a while, I'm sure. so it's no big deal. So we're going to cast on 41 stitches. And I just wanted you to see. Nice and quick, and you see how I can pull this row tight because I do have this needle up under mine, and it makes it nice and smooth. Now I wouldn't pull this tight if I didn't have that needle. Otherwise I couldn't get I wouldn't be able to knit the first row. So I'll see you back at 41 stitches, 41 cast on stitches. Okay, so we have our stitches, and I've started to work the pattern, and we're simply gonna work in a 1 by 1 rib, and we're just gonna simply start. The first row, I want you to purl 1, knit 1, and follow that pattern across the row. Purl 1, knit 1, and now I've done that row, and now I've turned, and now I'm going to knit 1 and purl 1. We're just simply going to do this simple rib stitch. To purl, bring your yarn in front. To knit, simply take your yarn between the needles and knit the stitch. Yarn in front to purl, yarn in back to knit. And this is just a simple 1 by 1 rib stitch. Kind of like when you're doing a sweater or cuff or the bottom of a sweater. This is the top. This is the top section of the purse here. And that's all we're going to do. And we're going to do the 1 by 1 rib for at least 8 rows. So I just want you to continue. Most of you can do this so quick, it's not anything. So this is just a good, nice little simple practice piece. Okay, so I put that little marker just like I say, if you need help knowing which is the front and which is the back. Row 6 was on the front, and by the marker you should be on row 7. Continue in pattern. Purl 1, knit 1. You do the stitches as you come to them. So now I'm ready to purl 1, yarn in back, knit 1, yarn in front, purl the next stitch, and continue the 1 by 1 rib pattern all the way across, and we are on the row number 7. And this is like I said, the back of the purse. Coming to the end of the row, knit 1 and purl the last stitch because we're on the back of our stitches. Now I turn, and now this is the front of the fabric. This is the back, the top back of the purse. Now this we're going to increase, but before I increase, I just have this little habit of always knitting what I call safety row, a safety row. That means in case I change my mind or something, or I don't know. It's just what I do. So, the front side, this very next row, we knitted 7 rows. So this will be the 8th row. So I'm just going to knit across every stitch. So I'm just going to knit. So in case something happens and I need to pull back, I don't have to go all the way to the very, very beginning. You can always, it's like having a place. If you, in case you have to pull out, you can pull out some stitches. You can always pick your stitches back up on a knit row. So I do a knit row, and then when I get to the end of this row, I will simply purl every stitch back. So let's do that. Knit across this row, and when you get to the back, you will purl back all the stitches. And then we will be ready for our increase of our bag. So we have done a 1 by 1 rib for 7 rows. This row, which is the 8th, I'm simply going to knit across all stitches. And then on this side, where I put the little marker to remind you of the back side, I simply purl all the stitches. See you back in just a minute. Okay, I'm coming to the end of the purl row. I'm on the back side because remember my little marker there, just to remind me. And I'm purling all across all these stitches. And we're done with the very top rib of the bag. Now we want to start the body of the bag. Here, we've finished this part. Now we want to start the body. Well, to start the body, I need to increase some more stitches in the body to give it a little more fullness, of course, because it is a purse, you got to put things in it. And I need, I've picked out a decorative nice stitch out of one of my stitch books. And I have to have so many stitches in order to do this little pattern. So, and of course I'm going to show you all of that, but we need to increase from 41, we need to increase 9 stitches to get to 50 stitches on our needle. 41 is where we started with the cast on, and we've knit a row and purled a row, which is my little safety row. It's just something I do. Now I'm ready to increase the body of the bag, and I'm going to increase it 9 stitches. And this is the way we're going to do the increase. Very simple. You can really do it any way you'd like, but this is the way I'm going to do it. Okay, so what I need for you to do, and we are on the right side row, and we're going to knit 4 and then make 1 through the back loop. We're going to knit 4 stitches, and then we're going to make 1 stitch through the back loop. So let me show you how it looks. We knit 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just move that so you can see, really see. Okay, now to make 1, you kind of open your needles up a little bit if you're a beginner or new to this, and you'll see this little strand that kind of lays between those 2 stitches. You're going to reach down with the left hand needle and pick that stitch up. Just pick that little string of yarn up. And with the right hand needle, we're going to knit it, but I'm going through the back. If you kind of turn it over and look, you're going to go through the back. It's a little hard. It may be a little hard at first to get it in there because we have a tendency to pull the yarn. Let me see if I can get mine in there. This is when it pays to be loose. Okay, here we go. All right. See, even advanced knitters have problems sometimes. Okay, so we picked up the strand on the left-hand needle, and with the right-handed needle, we are putting it through the back, and we're going to knit it through the back. And there it goes. And you can just kind of see it makes a nice little stitch. It makes a nice stitch, but there's no hole. some increases leave little holes, so I like making one through the back loop. Okay, so let's go again. We're going to continue across, knit 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now open your needles a little bit so that you can grab that strand right between the 2 stitches. Okay, then you take your right hand needle. Let's see if I can do a little better this time. You take your right hand needle and you're going to go through the back of that stitch and knit that stitch. That's making one through the back loop. So we're going to continue on across. Well, I'm coming up to my last increase. And I've done my knit 4. I'm going to lift the strand and knit through the back loop one last time, and then we'll be done with the increases. We just need to get to 50 so that I'll have enough stitches for the pattern that I'm working on. Boy, this last one, it was really hard. Okay, and then just knit all the stitches to the end. Okay, so now that is our increase. So now we need to take a count because we wanted to increase from 41 to 50. So we need to stop and actually count and make sure that's what we have. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 49, and 50. Voila! So now we're on the right side, and we have increased from our 41 to our 50 stitches to increase the size of the body of the bag. So now, the easy part. To get through the back, we're simply going to now do stockinette. And so, as you see, we're on the back side of the bag. We've just finished our increases. And at this point, some people like to slip their stitches. Some people like to make sure they knit the first stitch on every row. You can do whichever you want, or you can just do neither. Either one, whatever you'd like. I'm gonna knit the first stitch on every row. This is the purl. Remember, this is the back. So I knit the first stitch, yarn in front. Now I'm going to purl across this row. So I simply do the purl stitch going all the way across. And this will be the stockinette part of your bag. And don't forget, if you're going to slip the stitch, then you can slip your stitch when you start, or if you are a person like me, I just knit the first and last stitch on the purl side. Just remember, when you get to this end, you need to knit that stitch. Knit the first stitch and the last stitch. Of course, on the knit row, you just knit across. So, back to television watching. This is the part you can just kind of relax. Now, from the edge that we cast on, we're going to knit. Now we're knitting in stockinette, knit a row, purl a row, and we're going to knit for 6.5 inches. We're going to knit from here to here, where I want you to stop, from the very top, from the cast on edge, from here all the way down till about 6.5 inches. And that will be the back side of the bag. And this is just plain stockinette, knit a row, purl a row. From here to here, 6.5 inches. See you later. Okay, well, I've knit my 6.5 inches from the cast on edge to where we want to make the bottom turn of the bag so that we can start working on the front. Remember, this is the back, and we need to make start on the front. But if I put this little transitional row right here at the bottom, it just makes the bag turn easy, so that you actually have a nice little ridge for the bottom. So in order to do that, I've already, like I said, knit my 6.5 inches, and I'm beginning on a wrong side row. See the purl bumps? This is the side that I've just purled on. I was just doing straight stockinette. This side is my knitted, my front side, and here's my back. And remember, I did have a little marker there in case you're new at knitting and not sure. So on this back side, normally we would purl. Well, if you would just simply knit every stitch on this back side, this purl side, you're gonna see that it's gonna create a little ridge on the front side, which is what we need to help transition the bag so that we can start on the front. Now I'm gonna just do a few stitches here, and instead of purling, I am knitting every stitch on the purl side, and we'll just go all the way to the end. Push your stitches up. So very simple, very easy. And now we know exactly where the bottom of the bag is, since this is, now you don't have to do this. You can just simply continue on knitting and just have a rounded, kind of a smooth rounded bottom. I just like this little turn, this little knitted row, because it just gives it such a nice little defined bottom edge of the bag, and it just makes it look nice. But you really don't have, you could just continue to knit. You do not have to do this row to do this little bag. Okay, so on the purl or the back side, I did a knit stitch. I knit every stitch, and when I turn it over, now you have this little ridge right there. Now, to continue in the stockinette, we simply turn the work, and now we're back on track. We're back in pattern, and we're on the knitted side, so we will knit this row. And we will continue to alternate rows, knit a row, purl a row. Now I'm going to just knit a few stitches here, just so that you can see. Now we're back in pattern. We went off pattern for that one row, and now we're back. And we're going to continue in stockinette. Just going to push up, but I wanted you to see what I was doing there. So I'll turn it around this way. So that's what it looks like. All right, see you back in just a minute.